Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm Christina and I'm coming to you once again from the Catio. And today's convo is the cheating narcissist. Do they all cheat? Well, in my experience, absolutely. At least my ex-narcissist abuser sure did. Um, I would say that, yes, there could be the possibility that there are narcissists in the world that have not cheated yet. Yet might be the key word. But in order to always gain and line up new supply, they can't just stay and be happy with one person. They're always looking for that next best thing. Who's going to validate their ego, be able to support them financially, take the responsibility off them, and that way they can deflect it onto somebody else. So, yes, I do believe that the narcissists are cheaters by nature, and I believe that all of them do cheat in one respect or another. Now, understand there's physically cheating, where you actually go out and they're intimate with somebody else, having other partners and new supply. And there's also emotional cheating, which is if you're in a committed monogamous relationship, that's just as bad and damning to the foundation of the relationship. Because if you have somebody spending all their time with another person and putting that person on a pedestal and above their partner's needs and their family unit, then obviously they are emotionally showing you that they are connected to this other individual and actually have detached themselves and are probably in the process of devaluing you at that point. Now, I will say from my experience, my narcissist abuser, for the longest time, people would actually say like, well, maybe he's cheating on you, and I would say absolutely not. He would never do that because his ex-wife, he said, cheated on him. I don't believe that for 1 second. I believe he cheated on her because he was projecting what he did to her. So he wound up about 3 years ago now having a relationship with a older woman that he rode bicycles with, and he said, oh, she's a good friend and we have the same interest. And so they would go out riding like every day. They'd go riding in the woods while I was at work. And it started with the neighbors saying like, oh, well, whose car is parked in the driveway while you're at work all day? What are they doing? And then I also, when I would mention to him that it was concerning, because I also never got an opportunity to meet her. And when I said something about that, he mentioned that he met her husband and her children and grandchildren, so that way they would all feel comfortable with her riding with a strange man in the woods on bicycles. So I said, oh, well, I would really like to meet her so I feel comfortable. Well, the narcissist does not like that. And quite frankly, after many months went by, I brought up possibly meeting her and her husband. Maybe we could go on a double date because I just would really like to feel as comfortable and had the same respect shown for me that he did for her husband by, introducing himself and meeting him. And at that point, the gaslighting started. I never said that. That never happened. You're crazy. Okay, maybe, I'm thinking to myself at the time, like, maybe I misinterpreted it. Maybe I didn't hear that correctly, but I know I did. Because at the time when he said it, I felt, wow, that's really kind of disrespectful that you would take the time to meet him and get to know him, but you wouldn't let me meet her. And I did ask, why can't I meet her? And he said, well, you're embarrassing when you meet people. You shake hands too hard. Okay. So anyway, that relationship lasted for about 2 years. And one evening I came home and he was sitting at the dining room table kind of with this angry look on his face. And I was like, hey, how was your day? And he said, oh, well, the new supply, the grandma supply, we'll call her, she was ran over and killed by a car today on her bicycle. And of course, in a way, I was like, I felt, horrible that a person lost their life. But in the same respect, this woman has been sleeping with my partner for 2 years that I knew of. So I don't feel like I had a broken heart over it by no means. But he was obviously, you could tell, like almost building up to a rage because it was out of his control. He wasn't with her at the time. He didn't, you know, him losing her, even though that was by her passing, he still felt that was out of his control, and that sent him into basically a downward spiral. That evening, he proceeded, after I was home, to get in his vehicle, drive to the hospital, try to find her body. He drove to the morgue, I guess in hopes to see her prior to her husband, who I'm sure had no idea that my narcissist abuser and his wife were having an affair. So, after that instance where the supply was deceased, I said to him, after her funeral, listen, I really didn't feel comfortable with the relationship you had with her. And I mean, he went as far as he did go to, by the way, the narcissist did go to her funeral, shake her husband's hand, look the man in the eye, that he was sleeping, he was sleeping with his wife for 2 years. So he had no shame to do that. Didn't feel guilty at all. He even went as far as to have a in memoriam sticker placed on his vehicle for the world to see how devoted he was to the new supply, or for what pity he could get from people who knew that they were friends, or the people who did know, maybe in this bicycle community, that they were having an affair. So I found that very amusing when I look back now in hindsight, because it's just insane that someone would do that for a person they've only known 2 years. But if I was literally on fire, he would not spit to put me out. That's the level of respect for a new supply versus the old. So after all of that, I did indicate to him that if he was going to be riding with any more females in the woods, that I would really like to have the opportunity to meet them, and at least know their husband, so I'd feel more comfortable knowing who he was with all day, and that it was purely platonic relationship. And fast forward about 8 months, and this was a few months prior to my discard, he wound up, I started seeing these posts on social media, and he was riding with a 25-year-old married college student from our neighboring town. The same neighboring town where, turns out, he was on listed that he lived under multiple dating websites like Zoosk.com and Data Cyclist. Now, of course, I learned of all of this after the discard had began, which just made it easier for me to begin the healing process, for me to move forward and know I ain't coming back. This was it. He destroyed me every way possible. And cheating was just the kind of the icing on the cake. And I don't know how many supplies he had. I don't know how many times I was cheated on. And quite honestly, I don't care, because once a cheat, always a cheat. I'm sure he did it to his first wife. He did it to me, and we were never actually married. Thank goodness. Thank goodness I did not commit that far into it, because something always just told me, you cannot marry this man. Something's not right. So I absolutely, we were allegedly engaged, but I never pursued marrying him, because I just knew in my heart of hearts, for me, this was not the right person for me, and I did not want to make a commitment to someone who could never commit to me. And he proved it. Affair after affair, lie after lie. So I just find it funny when people who are in the relationship like I was, and I used to say, absolutely no way would he ever cheat on me. That was the one thing I could stand by him. I stood by him with my loyalty, and I would have bet everything that I owned on that statement. And boy, was I sure wrong. So if you are in a relationship where you feel that your spouse or partner is cheating on you, you need to address it. And I don't even think, and I do not recommend I'm not one of those people who go through someone's phone or this or that. I feel that the truth is going to come out. I'm not playing high school games. As much as my narcissist abuser would, that was his thing to do, play games and toy with people's emotions and feelings. That's not mine. I'm not going through a grown man's phone. I'm not having to run after and look after a grown man to see what they're doing every 5 minutes. If I can't trust you, there's no room for you in my life. And I just wish I would have gotten rid of him just way before even he got to the point of the discard. But I was so at that point with Stockholm Syndrome. I felt like the only person who could help me and be there for me was the abuser. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you are in a relationship where your partner you feel could be possibly having an affair, when you make them aware of it and you try to have a conversation, if they deflect and block, don't want to admit, or don't even want to take the fact that it could just be even a friendship that now they've bonded to somebody, though, an emotional cheating scenario, even if it's not physical, it is a very slippery slope. And if you can't trust your partner, there is no relationship. Because if they're willing to lie about that and have indiscretion after indiscretion, what else are they willing to lie about? So anyway, guys, that's it for me today. Again, thank you for watching the video. If you could, please like, subscribe, and share. And if you don't mind, drop some comments. Have you been cheated on by your narcissist abuser? How did you deal with it? How did you find out? And how did you come to terms to begin to heal from that relationship? And hopefully you all are out of it and surviving and thriving and moving forward with your lives. So until next time, you guys take care. Have a wonderful day, and I will hopefully be back with another convo soon. Bye.